Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Two Shadow production, a YouTube channel with horror stories. I know a lot of you will listen to this to fall to sleep, and therefore we can ask to like and subscribe the channel to help it grow and carry on. On this volume for tonight, we will go through some of the Romanian folklore. The first one will be the Strigoi in the fog of Mara. Location Maramureș, Romania. The Strigoi, it's translated the risen dead. I grew up as a child hearing stories about the Strigoi, vessels dead, that rise from the graves to drain the life out of the living. I never believed of any of it. Childhood stories to keep the child nice. Till the night, the fog rolled down from the hills of Mara. It happened last autumn. Now I'm back to my grandmother's old house in Maramureș. She has died months before, and the place has been empty ever since. I wanted to give it a clean up. Probably even sell it. On my first night there, fog came early, thick, white and silent, the kind of silence that feels alive. Around midnight, I heard the knocking, not at the door, but on the window. 3 slow taps. I froze in the middle of the hallway. I waited. Whoever was knocking, hopefully they would knock again. They didn't, so instead I thought it was my imagination. After a while, they dragged their nails across outside the window, slow, scraping, deliberate. I grabbed the flashlight and looked outside through the curtain. Nothing except the fog. Too thick to see through. I tried to go back to bed, but the air, I just felt something wrong about it. Heavy, cold, like someone was breathing against the back of my neck. Around 3 a.m., the knock started again, this time from the back of the door. My grandmother's voice came through the woods. She said, "Deschide ușa. It's cold outside. Open the door, my dear. Open the door." My heart collapsed onto my chest. She'd been dead for months. I took a step back. The voice came again. Same tone. Same softness she used when I was a child. Only one problem this time. My grandmother had been nearly deaf. She couldn't speak as clearly as her voice outside did. Then came the part that still haunts me. She whispered through the door, "If you don't open, I'll go ask your mother. I know where she sleeps." I should have ran. I should have called someone, but I didn't. The stupidest thing ever. I opened the small slit of the curtain of the back window. The fog outside shifted, and her face pressed against the glass. Pale, sunken, eyes like boiling milk. a smile. Something dead trying to smile. I slammed the curtain shut. The creature dragged his long fingernails across the glass and whispered, "I smelled your blood." The fog thinned down. When I checked the window the next morning, I saw handprints, long, skeletal handprints, smeared across the outside. I left that day and never went back. But sometimes I wake up in my apartment at 3 a.m. to the same 3 taps on my window. And a whisper, "Open, it's cold outside." The second story will be the Paruraru, spirit of the forbidden forest. The location is Bukovina, the folklore forest spirit that mimic the human voices. My uncle lived the edge of the forest, to the locals called the Forbidden Woods. He always warned me, if the forest calls your name at night, don't answer. It's not the forest calling, it's what lives inside it. I laughed back, as I usually do for stories. But last year, I learned why people fear Bukovina's forest. It was warm July evening when I went to help my uncle to chop some wood. I decided to sleep in the guest cabin behind his house. It sat maybe 30 meters from the forest line. Around midnight I heard it. Someone walking between the trees, twigs breaking, leaves scratching, slowly rhythm footsteps. I sat up in the bed and I listened. Then I heard my uncle's voice, but he sounded wrong, like he was far away, under the water. "Come, come, help me, something happened," he shouted. I opened the door. The night was thick and black. The forest looked like a wall of shadows. The voice came again. "Come, come, please help." But here's what made my blood go cold. My uncle never calls me help. He always uses my name. I whisper to myself, "That's not him." Footsteps moved closer to me. Trees swayed through the air, but there was no wind. Then something stepped just past the tree line. A tall, thin figure, nearly twice the height of a man. Arms too long, head bent like broken. Its voice came again, but now it used my name. "Andre, come with me into the forest." The voice clinched, shifted, became deeper, then higher, then layered with some inhuman sound. My uncle's dog Rex suddenly sprinted from the house and stood between me and the thing. Teeth bared, fur raised. Whatever was in the forest had stopped speaking. Then it began imitating the dog. Perfect replica of Rex barks, but twisted prongs stretched like a recording, rewound and played again. Rex whimpered and backed away. The figure slowly stepped backward into the trees and vanished. The next morning my uncle showed me the claw-like footprint around the cabin. And then he said, "Now, do you know why we don't answer the forest?" I was supposed to stay for a week. I left the same day. But sometimes the woods near my house whisper my name at night, and something tall moves just beyond the tree line. The third story. The black-eyed woman from Putna. Putna is a location in Suceava. My grandfather died in a monastery hospital in Putna. He was a calm man, superstitious, but in his last days, he kinda changed. On the second night of my visit, I stayed in the old monastery guest room. Thick stone walls, wooden icon, a window facing the cemetery. Around 2 a.m. I heard crying outside, soft, female, broken. I thought it was giving a relative. I looked outside the window. There was a woman standing between the graves. Her dress was old and white, soaked in mud, hair long and black, almost reaching the ground. She faced the chapel door until suddenly her head snapped upward toward me. Her eyes black, completely black, no white, just darkness. She smiled. Such a unnatural smile, and motioned for me to come outside. I closed the curtain fast enough to hear it. From its ring, my heart hammered until dawn. The next morning, the nurse said, "Your grandfather was calling a woman all night. Kept saying she was waiting for him outside." I froze. "What woman?" I asked. The nurse hesitated, but then she gave in. He kept saying the woman with the black eyes. He died that evening. Before I left, I walked past the cemetery. Same muddy footprints I saw on the night before were pressed into the earth directly below my window. I moved far away from Pudna after that. Sometimes in the corner of my vision, I swear I see her pale shape watching me. And at night, right before I fall asleep, I hear her crying just outside my door. The first story. The cursed well that mimicked the voices. A small forgotten village near Vaslui. I never believed the stories about the old world behind my auntie's property. They call it the cursed well. Even the priest refused to bless it. They said it feed on loneliness, that anyone got close would hear a voice calling to them from the dark water. I thought it was just a village superstition. The last summer, I stayed at my auntie's house after her surgery. I helped her with the chores. On my third night, around 11 p.m., I heard someone whisper outside my window. Help me, they shouted. I thought, thinking it was a neighbor. Maybe someone drunk from the bar down the alley. I stepped outside the yard. was empty, but the whisper came again, louder this time. Please help me. The sound came from the well, but nobody could be inside. The well had been dry for decades. I kept closer, crept even closer. Water rose from the darkness below. It smelled like rotten flowers and old metal. I called out, "Who's there? I'm here." The voice from the well whispered, "I know you. I know who you are." I stepped back instantly. My aunt rushed outside, pale as a chalk, shouting at me to come inside. When I told her what I heard, she started crying. She said when she was a child, her younger sister had fallen in the well and never recovered the body. And for years, her family heard her crying at night. That night I couldn't sleep, but around 3 a.m. I heard it again. A child's voice, whispering my name, not asking for help, begging. I left at sunrise and never returned. 2 months later, my aunt called me. They were renovating the property and they cleared the well. Inside, trapped in the stones, they found fingernail marks, tiny ones. Thousands of them, fresh ones, and carved into the stone, clear as day. Let me out. The fifth story and the last for the night will be the woman who walked on the bones. The forest near Pika's gorge. I'm a mountain runner. Always been. Enjoy the fresh air. I've been on trails all over Romania. Rarău, Ciahlău, Piatra Caiului. I thought nothing scared me anymore. But woods and Picas, boy, they proved me wrong. Last year, I went running alone in a remote area, early morning, before tourists arrived. The trail was silent, unnaturally silent. I reached a narrow path where the rocks formed a natural tunnel. That's when I heard something behind me. Crunch, crunch, crunch. The sound of something stepping on dry bones, not branches. I turned and saw her. A woman in a long white dress, barefoot, head tilted, hair covering her face. She was talking. By herself, she was walking straight toward me, and the sound under her feet was like bones snapping. I froze. She stopped about 10 meters away. Then I thought her hair, I saw her eyes, completely empty, hollow sockets, blood dripping like tears. She whispered, "Don't run, you'll make me hungry." That's when I broke. I sprinted down that path, but the sound behind me didn't fade, it got closer. The crunching turned into snapping cracks and grinding, like she was stepping on every bone in the world. I reached a clearing and I thought she was gone until I looked up. She was perched in the tree above me. Her head bent at an impossible angle, inches from mine. She opened her mouth, and a voice that wasn't hers, but many voices later together, she whispered, "They all run." I ran until I reached the road, flagged down the trunk, and begged the driver to take me anywhere. When I returned months later with friends, we found something that was leading a pile of small bones, arranged in the shape of a human spine. It was fresh. One more. The monk who never left. The full world came monastery near Cluj. Sleeps a monk, Deathbringer. My friend Gabriel is a photographer. Last winter, he convinced me to join him on a trip in an abandoned monastery in the mountains. Yes, there was a good happen. He joked. I laughed as well. Now it's not that funny anymore, is it? We arrived just before the sunset. The place locked, ancient cracked stone walls, collapsed roof in certain sections, and a massive wooden door, half rotted. Inside, the air felt heavy, like the whole monastery was breathing and we were breathing against it. Gabriel took some photos, icons peeling on the walls, broken branches, dust so thick like snow. We split up. It was decision ever. That was the mistake. I went down a narrow hallway and we found the door slightly open behind. It was a small cell, a monk's room, bed, a wooden door, a crucifix, and on the bed, something sitting, a monk, thin, pale, spine profoundly through his robes. I whispered, "Father, Father." He lifted his head slowly. His eyes were wide open, so wide that the wideness filled the entire eye. He hadn't blinked, not once, but he whispered, "I stay awake, because if I sleep, he wakes." I stepped back. He continued, voice trembling, "He's behind you." I spun around but saw nothing. When I looked back at him, he was standing right in front of me, close enough that I could smell old earth on his breath. He screamed, "Don't sleep." Gabriel grabbed me from behind and dragged me out of the cell. We didn't stop running till we reached the car. But here is the part Gabriel knew. Before I left the cell, I looked down at the monk's bed. There was a book, a prayer journal, the last entry read, "Day 14,205. I have not slept. If I sleep, it will take my body again." That was over 30 years of not sleeping. For weeks after, every time I closed my eyes, I saw the monk standing over my bed, watching, whispering, "Don't sleep. He wants your body too now." To this day, I wake up gasping before I fall asleep, and sometimes I hear breathing in the corner of my room, and it's not mine.